Hi and welcome to Adina Talks Money. Today is day 3 of the 30-day video challenge or content piece challenge. And today's one is going to be how to keep churning out creative ideas like an unstoppable genius. I know a lot of people struggle with making content. They struggle with, I'm sure if you're listening to this, you also struggle with coming up with content ideas. But you know what? There are endless content ideas and you should never run out of content ideas. If you spend time on the internet, you should never run out of content ideas. If you've created content before, you should also never run out of content ideas. For me, I create written content, audio content, and video content. So I'm never going to run out of ideas. And you're going to see why when I get into some of these ways of how you can keep churning out creative ideas like an unstoppable genius. You know, some days you wake up and feel like your brain is brimming with creative ideas, chock full of article titles, visual imagery and concepts. Then other days, emptiness, anxiety, struggle to conjure ideas for your next piece or creative project. Is there an exact science to it, or should you just let it flow? Okay, there's this quote by Bruce Garabrandt. I really hope I'm not butchering Bruce's name. And he says, creativity doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It fashions its own perfect moments out of ordinary ones. Do you find yourself, like, if you're someone who struggles with ideas, do you find yourself doing nothing, like for months, for weeks, you know, waiting for this lightning bolt idea? Or do you just create? I just create. I know there are some people that do wait for that. They wait for this kind of lightning bolt idea that just drops in their lap. I know Michael Jackson. I listened to an interview with Michael Jackson. They asked him how he writes songs. And he says that he gets out of the way of the creative process and just waits for the song to fall in his lap. And I think everyone is different when it comes to creativity. But for me, I find I have these moments where I receive ideas just by sitting still. And then there'll be times when I know I have to put something out there. And so I just go into some of the ideas that I already have from the past or content that I've created from the past. And that's what helps me. There's another quote I'm going to say from Maya Angelou first. You can't use up creativity. The more you use it, the more you have. Maya Angelou, the best. Anyway, so firstly, write 10 ideas a day. When I was in high school, my English teacher is the reason why I write today. Mrs. McCormack, if you're out there, thank you. I had another English teacher also called Mr. Waterhouse, and he helped me as well. But my English teacher encouraged me to write 5 story ideas a day. And at the time, I would complain that I couldn't think of anything to write. It worked like a charm. So I also learned this from James Altucher, his method of writing 10 ideas per day. So at first I struggled, but at the point is not to come up with 10 amazing ideas. The point is to shake your brain to come up with something. So out of these 10 ideas, 2 or 3 might be good. The rest might be just okay, like meh. And you know, these mediocre ideas, they might eventually turn into your next big idea. Sometimes the thing that you think is mediocre, the idea that you think is mediocre, is the idea that's going to take things off to the next level. I'm going to give you an example. I created this article piece about black veganism or being vegan in the black community, veganism in the black community, a few years ago on Medium. And this article, when I was writing it, I didn't like the way it sounded. I didn't even like the idea after a while. I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't think I should post this. I clicked post. A couple of weeks later, I woke up to hundreds of notifications. This was the article that took my Medium page from 50 followers to 5,000, 7,000, 8,000. And it took my Medium page from $5 a month to $1,000 a month to $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month over time. So make this habit of writing 10 ideas a day. Another thing is to read through your old content or watch your old content. If you don't have old content, then that's, it's going to be difficult for you. But if you do, then go over it. There is magic in your old work, so don't let it go to waste. I like to sift through my old content and find fresh ideas and new perspectives. So I'm always amazed when scrolling through the thousands of articles I have written over the years, because yes, I've written thousands of articles, but mostly I sit there and ask myself why I bother searching for inspiration in other people's work when I have bucket loads of inspiration right there. So think of your old stuff as a secret treasure chest of golden ideas and dig in whenever you get the chance. I do this all the time. I go through my blogs, some blogs that I'm not posting on anymore, and I still find ideas. I go through my old ebooks and I find so many golden ideas as well in my ebooks too. The next thing here is to step outside your comfort zone. This quote is from Robert T. Bennett, and he says, "You never change your life until you step out of your comfort zone. Change begins at the end of your comfort zone." So if you want to produce outstanding work, at some point you might need to step outside your comfort zone. So do something different, something that scares you. The point of getting outside your comfort zone is to shake your brain. I like to use this phrase. It's to shake your brain and push you off the edge. This one really relates to the previous one about getting outside your comfort zone. That's changing your routine. So if you're struggling to come up with ideas, change your routine. I know that many professional writers say that routine is God. I think the writer that said this was the Japanese guy. I'm actually forgetting his name. There was a particular writer that said this. If I remember it, I'll flash it on the screen. If I don't, I'll put it in the description. Stepping out of your routine and doing something different might spark some new ideas and new creative ways of thinking. So what's an example of changing your routine? An example might be to follow someone else's routine. So, for example, Maya Angelou, God rest her soul, Maya Angelou used to go to a hotel and create her content there. And write her books there. And I've seen lots of people on YouTube doing her routine as part of a YouTube video, a series of I tried writing like. And you can do the same thing. Take someone else's routine and try it out for yourself and see how it works for you. Doesn't mean you have to stick with that routine. It's just something to shake your brain. You never know. You might even realise that routine is something that you want to incorporate into yours as well. Next one is to listen to people. Being nosy can help you, trust me, when it comes to ideas. I keep my ears on high alert when I'm out and about. So often when I'm out for walks or I'm shopping at the supermarket, I listen to people. Everyday conversations can often give you fresh ideas. I also pay attention when I'm talking to friends and family. It's not so much about just like being nosy and, trying to hear what people are saying, but sometimes a phrase that someone says can spark an idea. So I like to carry a notebook with me at all times. If I can, sometimes I don't, but majority of the time I do like to have a notebook with me. And if I don't have a notebook with me and someone says something, I'll just sort of step aside and I'll just record it into my phone so that I can remember that phrase, and then I'll incorporate it into an article that I'm writing or into a video that I'm making or an audio piece that I'm making. Read something different. Again, this relates to stepping outside your comfort zone. So if you are someone who prefers to read about personal development, read some science content, some health content, pick up a sci-fi novel, listen to a new podcast, watch a weird documentary or random independent film on Netflix. Switch it up. Because I think sometimes people who like to write about personal development, they like to read lots of personal development content or watch lots of personal development content because they think, well, that's what I need to do in order to help me come up with more ideas. But actually, sometimes personal development ideas are found in science fiction novels or found in independent movies, because you might find a really cool quote that makes you say, that's cool. So, for example, I watched the Kanye West documentary on Netflix. I don't usually watch Kanye West content. I mean, if it comes up, sometimes I might watch something, but I don't actively seek out content that Kanye West has made. It's not that I don't think he's a genius, because I do. I think he's a creative genius, but I don't actively seek out what he's producing. And I watched the Kanye West documentary on Netflix, and oh my goodness, I came out of watching that with so many ideas for my own content, articles, newsletter posts. I just came out with so many ideas, and even challenges. It even made me think about, okay, what do I need to do to take things to the next level for myself? Because if you see the work ethic, Kanye West's work ethic, especially when he first started out, I don't know what he's doing now, but when he first started out, he was fearlessly pounding the streets. You know, a lot of people kind of shy away from hard work these days because they think, well, it's better to just sort of try and find the easiest way. But often when you want to like master your craft, you kind of have to put in that work, put in them hours. So next one is to get outside. Get outside. You don't want to just be sitting at home all the time. You can go through phases of sitting at home and just being to yourself, but you want to get out there. Being in nature encourages your brain to produce new brain cells. Did you know this? And this type of brain activity is often referred to as the brain default, which is linked to creative thinking. So you don't want to just sit at home all the time. You want to get outside in nature. It's not so much about getting out onto the streets, into the city. You want to get outside in nature if you can. It's hard if you live in the city. It's very hard. But if you can find a local park, just get outside. So starting a new hobby is another one. That also really it really relates to stepping outside your comfort zone, because starting a new hobby, what it can do is it actually sparks the same kind of brain activity that occurs when you spend time in nature, and it encourages the brain to produce new neural pathways as your brain tries to make sense of the new activity. Do you know that it's actually very important to try new things? Because think about it like this: when you're trying new things, it's like you are going back to your childhood when you couldn't talk, you couldn't walk, you couldn't do anything, you couldn't write, everything was new. So when you're starting a new activity, something you've never done before, you actually feel like a child, because you're struggling to get it done, and it forces you to really try. And when you're really, really trying, your brain cells are just firing up, and it's sparking new brain cells. It's actually going to keep you younger. Not necessarily in the way you look, but in terms of your brain activity. If you just sit about all day doing the same thing every day, watching stuff or whatever, your brain isn't going to produce new brain cells as it should do, especially as you age. Anyway, this is one thing that I really enjoy doing, and it is stream of consciousness writing. So just write without thinking. So just write. So even if you're not a writer, this is not just for writers. This is for anyone. Even if you're not a writer, just write without thinking. You're not thinking about what you're writing. Just write for like 20 minutes or for 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Just write. That really does help. Finally, it's to meditate. According to a study conducted by the University of Waterloo, practicing mindfulness meditation can significantly improve brain function and energy levels. You can experience these benefits by practicing mindfulness meditation for just 15 minutes a day. So when you hear mindfulness meditation, you might think, oh my goodness, I don't have the time to sit there meditating. I don't want to do it. But you don't have to do it for hours. You can do it 15 minutes a day and you still get the benefits from that. So here's the takeaway. I'm going to just list the things again. Write 10 ideas a day. Read through your old content or watch your old content. Step outside your comfort zone. Change your routine. Listen to people. Read something different. Get outside. Start a new hobby. Write without thinking and meditate. I'm going to give you one bonus one, and that is to talk to people. Aside from listening to people, talk to people. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified when I post up. Please click the links in the description, check them out. And I'll see you soon. I'm doing 30 days of content. If you've listened to this after my challenge is over, then thank you. You can do a 30-day challenge yourself. It's a really fun thing to do. This is day 3. Take care.